shadow. It's been following me ever since I was small. Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid.
Then come out.
Then you'll be afraid.
Was this like a childhood dream come true to get to play a Disney princess, to get to be Sleeping Beauty?
Completely, yeah. It was the biggest dream ever. Because when I was little, people would ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say a Disney princess. That's the goal in life of everything.
Check it off the box.
I know, I can't believe I like accomplished that. It's so weird. I'm like still getting used to saying that like I am Aurora. Crazy. She was always my favorite, so this is very special.
Oh, really? So of all the princesses, this is the one you wanted?
This is the one. Yeah, the dream come true. Yeah, I felt like I related to her the most when I was little, kind of just because of her blonde hair and her dress and the pink one. I love pink, so she was my girl.
Your character in this, Stefan, I mean, he does some nasty things.
Yeah.
Some nasty things to Angelina's character,
Yes.
Maleficent. But at the same time, he's just sort of driven by ambition, and you were able to keep the character sympathetic at the same time. Because you talk about sort of navigating those waters.
Well, it's always, I mean, that's the tricky thing with any type of villain character for me, is trying to ground it in some sort of reality. In this case, doing a fairy tale, I felt that I could make the character almost like a cautionary tale for men, where men very much like to be the king of their castle. You know, Stefan is literally the king of his castle. Most men have some sort of, you know, ambition to varying degrees, and to kind of dominate their environments and protect their families. And but if that runs away with itself, as I think more often than not is happening in our societies, you know, men are not spending time with their kids. They don't sort of, it becomes the most important thing, you know, getting the castle. You know, and very often you have the castle now, but you're alone, you know, and in this case, he literally falls off the castle wall, you know. So I think there was a moral of the story in the character, and it was, I picked on the seed of something that I think is true in a lot of men.
Visually, the movie is stunning.
Oh, thanks.
How did your vast VFX background sort of prepare you for this film and prepare you for your directorial debut?
There's a few of those big visual films in the rearview mirror now, and I think you become more comfortable each time you enter into one of these things. This movie, the challenge for me wasn't so much the world this time. The challenge was really using the performances and editing and all the other things that I've always wanted to do as an art form, and working with some great people to make that happen. So I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to not only work with tremendously talented actors and actresses, but to be able to have this vast playground to play in.
When you first read this script and saw sort of the reimagining, the way they were going to tell this story differently, you know, in live action on the big screen, what was your reaction?
I was beyond excited. Yeah, just from being a fan of the animated one, you know Maleficent as the villain, and she kind of pops up and does, you know, evil things here and there, but you don't know her backstory. I mean, she's kind of just, she's pure bad and that's it, and no one really questions it. But you have a lot of questions there. And I think that our movie answers all those questions, and it's nice to have something from Maleficent's side of the story and her point of view.
I thought that it had the potential to do what I think it does, is it had a real sort of simple heart at the essence of what is, you know, one of these big spectacle films, and so often the spectacle in these films becomes just by far the most interesting thing about them, and you don't really feel anything. I think it's very difficult for directors and filmmakers once you're doing a $100 million plus film, and there's something like this at 200 million. You've got so many different inputs and things. To try to keep a real feeling and heart to a project can be very, very difficult. But I think Rob managed to do that in this case.
I mean, it's a great script. I mean, Linda Wolverton, who also wrote The Lion King and a couple of other ones, I'm forgetting. You know, she's got great form at these, you know, classic Disney movies. And I think this has a lot of some of the things that one expects from Disney. You know, its heart's in the right place, but it's a bit scary as well. But
it's much darker than the Sleeping Beauty. Although Sleeping Beauty was always sort of the darker of the classic animation movies.
I think people said that it didn't, you know, it was almost a bit too much at the time or something. I mean, and it's you know, it stays with you, does the original character. I like the way it sort of told it from another's perspective, and also the fact that Angelina was involved, obviously.
Was she already involved when you?
Yeah, when I heard about it, she was definitely playing.
Yeah. And that must be a big attraction, a big draw for you.
Well, yeah. I mean, along with it being a studio film, I'd never done one of those before, so that's something I'm curious to find out about. But the fact that she was in it was obviously probably the #1 interest.
The first thing that attracted me to the script was the fact that it wasn't just a straight retelling of Sleeping Beauty, that we got to explore other sides. It was much more interesting to me to ask questions why she was that way, rather than, you know, and answer some of those questions that you might ask somebody if you were to meet her, which is, where did you come from? Why are you so bad? Da 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 da. So that was the fun in the script. It was, and then the special relationship that happens in the script. Those two things drew me to it, and I hope we pulled that off.